Hi there. Politico just covered a memo from Third Way, a center-left think tank, telling Democrats to stop using 45 so-called woke words. And Third Way admitted it's not based on any actual data, just anecdotes. And that right there is a problem and why media literacy matters. Buckle up, students. Professor Barger is in, and I'm black at it again. Welcome back to TikTok comms analysis class, where we don't just talk about communications. We decode the patterns frame by frame, word by word. If you're new here, I'm Amira Barger. Hi, I'm a behavioral communications consultant, professor, author, and your fearlessly authentic bestie. Let's get into it. The memo literally says Democrats are using words that put a wall between us and everyday people. But remember, Third Way said they never tested that claim. And here's the thing, swapping out words isn't automatically strategy. It's not strategy at all. It matters how you frame words. Let me tell you what I mean. There are 3 examples of words or phrases that the memo says to stop using. They're coming up, and I'll give you the plain language or everyday version of each. Food insecurity is the first. Also, not knowing where your next meal is coming from. Food insecurity sounds like a policy paper. But if I tell you a mom opens the fridge at 6 p.m. every evening and there's nothing there for her kids, that's not knowing where your next meal is coming from. Everyone gets that. The next one, systemic oppression, also known as rules rigged against people. Systemic oppression sounds like a grad school jargony word. But if I were to say you work twice as hard and the rules are still stacked against you, like playing a game where the referee only calls fouls on your team, that's something that people can feel and resonate with. And the third, stakeholders, also known as people most affected. Stakeholders makes me and others think of a corporate PowerPoint. But if I were to tell you a new highway is being built, and the people whose homes are in its path are the ones who should have a say, that is still speaking of stakeholders without saying stakeholder. Now it's your neighbor losing their house, and that gets people rallied behind it. That's what plain language does. It translates, it lands, it connects. Now let's go back to the bigger issue with this Third Way memo. They didn't test any of this, and worse, they didn't give us any context. They didn't explain why plain language lands better, and they didn't mention tools like the Flesch-Kincaid readability scale, which tells you the grade level your words hit at. If your message is written at grad school level, but your audience reads at an 8th grade level, you've lost them. And they didn't measure sentiment, how people feel when they hear a word. They didn't check message pull-through, whether a phrase actually sticks, gets repeated, or shows up in media coverage. And they didn't present any data, no receipts, just vibes. Word lists like this one from Third Way assume that if you just swap out a few terms, you'll suddenly connect better with people. But persuasion doesn't work that way. It's not just about which words you use. It's about how you frame the conversation, because framing determines whether people lean in and process what you're saying deeply or just skate across the surface. And that's where persuasion theory comes in. So there's a theory called the elaboration likelihood model. Think of it like 2 highways in someone's brain. The first highway is the central route. That's the deep thinking lane. Imagine me at Costco trying to pick an olive oil. I'm reading the labels, comparing price, weighing ingredients. That's persuasion through evidence and reasoning. And once I make a choice, it's likely to stick, and I'll probably buy the same brand of olive oil next time because I know why. The second highway is the peripheral route. That's a shortcut. So picture me grabbing gum at the checkout because the packaging is shiny or the cashier smiled at me. I didn't think about it deeply. I just reacted. That's persuasion through surface cues. It works in the moment, but it fades, and I'm probably not going to buy the same pack of gum next time. So central versus peripheral routes tie directly to familiar Democrat versus Republican messaging moments. So central route, think of Democrats rolling out a 10-page healthcare plan with charts and numbers, infographics. That's the central route persuasion. Facts, evidence, policy detail. The peripheral route, now think of Republicans chanting, "Build the wall," at a rally. That's peripheral persuasion. It's a catchy slogan that might stick in the moment, even if there's no policy detail behind it. So here's the lesson for all of you. The words we choose are supposed to persuade. Central root words give people something solid to hold on to, values, evidence, clarity. Peripheral root words just sound better for a second. And third wave's memo, it was all peripheral. Basically, these words sound weird, so just throw them out. That's not strategy. Now, you might be asking, well, if Republicans win with peripheral cues, shouldn't Democrats just copy that playbook? There's nuance. Peripheral persuasion can get attention, but it doesn't build trust or durable change on its own. The smart move isn't to abandon central root persuasion, it's to blend the two. Lead with clarity, evidence, values, but package it in ways that are memorable, easy to repeat, and simple. Think about $15 minimum wage. That's a perfect blend. It's short and sticky, so people remember it, but behind those three words is a stack of economic research and policy detail for the deep thinkers. That's central and peripheral working together. Now, here's what we also need to be honest about. Words only land with the audience that's primed for them. Just changing a phrase won't suddenly persuade Republicans to vote differently or make someone who's dug in against Democrats lean in with curiosity. It's not that simple. The real battle isn't over whether we say woke or aware. The real battle is over critical thinking, policy, and law, because that is where durable change lives. Words matter. They shape worlds, they frame values, they tell us whose stories count, but they're not magic spells. Language only works when it's paired with trust, context, and action. And that's why this battle on words is the wrong fight. If all we do is argue over vocabulary and terminology, we've lost the plot, folks. The deeper work is building trust, teaching media literacy, and fighting for policies that actually shift people's behavior and lives. And your takeaway today is when you see a memo or an article, a study making big claims, ask, where's the data? What's the sample size? What's the methodology? And did they check sentiment, message pull through, or readability? If not, it's probably not strategy, just noise. Again, words shape worlds, and I'll never stop harping on it. But cutting them without evidence or context, that doesn't build trust, it doesn't persuade, and it sure doesn't win votes. That's not strategy. That's just surrender.